many do not take drugs did you have in the first book?
We had about 100. We now have 119, but we also have added about 600 new drug interactions. One of the people we'll talk to this afternoon had an almost fatal interaction between new drugs. So there's a lot more information than we had before about harmful interactions between two or more drugs.
Let me make this haymaker, roundhouse, barroom generality about the pharmaceutical industry. First of all, let's make this point. Pharmacy has grown and, you know, we've learned so much. Research, new technology, all of that has really enhanced and improved the lives of millions of us, and the pharmaceutical industry would want me to say, saved the lives of many. Hooray for them, rah-rah, sis boom ba. The problem is, we do have marketing pressure on these very competitive companies. Now, you have giant food companies, for example, that put out cereal. They'll give you all kinds of Cocoa Pops, Tutu Pops, Tutti Fruits, Loopy Doops, and it's not so much the distinctive quality or of the product as it is shelf space. Getting shelf space in the grocery store so that no matter where you reach, you're going to get their product. The pharmaceutical industry does this too. You've got to come out with new products so that you can fill larger spaces at the drugstore and make more money. How am I doing?
You're doing fine, but Cocoa Pops don't cause Parkinsonism and hip fractures and so forth. I mean, there it's a matter of subtle differences. They have maybe colored differently, more sugar and so forth, and all basically very, very similar. Where you start getting into the drug area and you say, let's put a new drug on the market, and oops, we didn't test it adequately, and it turns out we have to pull it off the market, but too late, we already killed a couple hundred people. I mean, one of the things that we say is when a new drug comes on the market, a new prescription drug, unless it's a breakthrough drug, which very few of them are, don't use it unless it's been on the market for 4 or 5 years, because there's enough of a chance that it's going to come off the market after it does a lot of damage to people. The companies there are several companies that have pleaded guilty withholding data from the Food and Drug Administration, and although it's an industry that has brought us a number of advances, it's an industry that has killed a lot of people unnecessarily, and one of the things we talk about in this book is why it is
And it is also an industry that the President of the United States gave himself permission to say publicly overcharges for its product. All right, here's now some consumer news. We're going to save you some money. Money's not important to this audience, of course. You're all independent. All right, look at this. Here's the brand name. The brand name is Callan, and it costs 33 bucks. You can get the generic Verapamil. See, if you correct the host during the show, he gets very insecure. $19. This is very common, isn't it? But now look at this next one. Bactrim will cost you $21, but you can buy Here's the point. Don't miss the point. Who is going to remember this? You know, you're asking too much of the consumer. These polysyllabic words are going to...
They don't have to remember it. Right now, if someone writes a prescription for you for a brand name drug, you go into the pharmacist and you say, I want the generic version. All you have to remember is the word generic. You don't have to remember the chemical name.
But you have to remember the commercial name, too, in order for him to translate.
You've got your prescription. It has the brand name on. You walk it into the pharmacy and you say, is this available generically? And if it is, I want the generic version.
Keflex is $46.90, according to Best Pills, Worst Pills. And look what you can get, the generic Cephalexin for $17. Tofranil is $79.
An antidepressant.
And imipramine is $6. Motrin is $23.78. The generic is ibuprofen for $12.95. You know, it really is inexcusable to go in there and pay the first price for whatever is written on the... Why wouldn't the doctor write the generic name on the prescription? Well, I assume many do.
Some doctors do. Some of them have, again, the generic companies don't spend a lot on advertising, which is one of the reasons that the drugs don't cost as much. So the doctor has the brand name in his or her head and is much more likely to write a brand name kind of prescription. But you can take matters into your own hand. You go to the pharmacist and you ask for a generic equivalent.
Are you there, caller?
Yes.
You wanted to say?
Yes, my mother's been on Valium for over 15 years. If I'm not mistaken, the side effect of that is depression. I've talked to her doctor about this, and he said that he would take her off of it if the depression continued. She still takes Valium, and he still gives it to her, and she's depressed and I am angry.
How old is your mother?
She's in 65.
Did you say 6'5"?
65.
65.
5'5".
Let's talk about that.
Go.
There are about 2 million people in this country who have been taking Valium and drugs like it for a year or more. There's no evidence that these drugs work for more than 4 weeks. They cause, as you just heard on the phone, depression. They can cause falls and hip fractures and a lot of other problems. And they don't work at all.
While you're making your point, here, this is in the book. Can you see your TV caller?
Yes.
Drugs that cause depression. Go ahead, I interrupted you, doctor. Just let him see.
This is a whole list of drugs that are known to cause depression. So that when someone goes to the doctor and they're feeling depressed, one of the reasons may be not that they had a death in their family, but that they're taking a drug that is causing depression. And there are a long list of these drugs that can cause depression. This is just a partial list of them.
Yeah.
They're actually, in the book, we have 86 different drugs listed that can cause depression.
And in men, depression can cause anger.
Absolutely.
So if, you know, good old Uncle Harry, who may be 70, 65, or my age.
Or 55.
All right, and he's going for what appears to be no reason at all. It may not have to do with his wonderful character, personality. This is a well-bred man who's always been generous and compassionate. He's got something bouncing around in his brain because a doctor gave him a prescription a long time ago. Drugs that cause dementia. Show him this one, Brian. This is number 142.
Again, this is just a partial list because we have in the book 65 different drugs that can cause memory loss, dementia. One of the people who wanted to be here, but she couldn't, partly because her son was visiting her, is Mildred Backus in Nashville, Tennessee. A year ago, she was taking a bunch of drugs, including Catapress, a heart drug, and Aldamet, another heart drug, and Robaxin, a pain drug. She was not able to work. She was losing her memory and so forth. She read this book and decided with her doctor to stop taking 3 of the drugs, and her memory got better. She stopped being confused, and she was able to start working as a volunteer half-time. And she was afraid to tell her doctor about this, but when she went to her doctor says, you know, I've been thinking maybe you shouldn't have been having so many drugs. It was another doctor who put her on them. So I think this tells us, A, that there are a number of drugs that can cause depression. She was also depressed as well as losing her memory. And B, a lot of doctors will realize that they don't know everything and will be responsive to people who go to them with this book or a list of drugs that may be harming them.
Caller, are you there still?
Yes.
Will not her mother, will there not be a withdrawal even if she is successful in getting her off Valium?
On the page for Valium and all these other drugs in the book, we say you've got to go very slowly. It is an addicting drug. As I said, there are 2 million people addicted to Valium and Librium and Xanax and Halcion, these other sleeping pills and tranquilizers, and you need to reduce the dose very, very slowly over a significant period of time in order to avoid all the withdrawal syndrome.
Yeah. Here is the, is that the Valium page?
Yeah.
Yeah, Valium right there. This will give you some idea. I just looked this up. Do not use. I looked this up in the index. I wanted to ask this woman another question. You know, a lot of people won't leave their house without the Valium in the purse.
That's my mother. She carries it with her all the time.
Valium
and she abuses it. She
yeah,
abuses it. She's only supposed to take 2 a day.
You notice that this is not the mother you had 15 years ago.
You know something? I don't remember when my mother never took Valium. I mean, she's been on it for a long time, and I'm in my 30s. Now, what good is it? Why is he still giving it to her when it's not doing her any good?
Well, as I said, it is a drug which works, but there's no evidence it works for more than a month. So during almost all the time she's been taking it, she's been getting no benefit and a lot of risk. And that's the problem with a lot of these drugs is they are presenting terrible risks and they have little, if any, benefit.
Thanks, caller.
Thank you.
We'll be back in a moment.
From Hollywood Pictures.
Billy, let's go!
Harry Brock bought his girlfriend everything she wanted.
You know what this is costing me a night?
You already told me.
But when he bought this Vegas showgirl an education,
How are we going to smarten me up?
We aren't going to do it. You're going to do it.
he got a lot more than he bargained for.
Hello? Am I in the room?
Melanie Griffith, John Goodman, Don Johnson. Born Yesterday, directed by Luis Mandoki, rated PG. Starts Friday, March 26th at a theater near you.
I
wear glasses. I have to, but I don't have to spend 2 weeks' salary on eyeglasses at Payless Optical. Payless Optical has any frame in the store complete with your single vision prescription lenses for only $24.95. Even designer frames with lenses are just $24.95. Solid dark sunglasses? Just $24.95. Payless Optical has a huge selection of frame styles, and all that money you save, you can buy something else that adds to your air of sophistication.
Payless Optical, 237 South 70th Street in Lincoln.
Looking for something for nothing? Well, here it is. Buy any new Hyundai from the new Mike Branker Hyundai, and you'll pay absolutely nothing for all regularly scheduled maintenance for the first 2 years or 24,000 miles. Hyundai picks up the tab. And if you think that sounds like a great deal, check this out. Branker Hyundai is offering both of these with all of this at only this. But hurry, put all that together, and they'll last about this long. From the new Mike Branker Hyundai, 48th and R.
Hey, Frosted Flakes fans, give Wheaties Honey Gold a shot. Touch of honey is what it's got.
Great touch.
Gotta have a sweet shot. Wheaties Honey Gold. Crunch 'em. Crispy corn, whole grain wheat.
What a match.
It's a spot, crunchy sweet.
Definitely.
Wanna hit your sweet spot? Sweet spot. Hit it with a sweet shot. Wheaties Honey Gold.
What's for this thing? A very good book I refer to as a thing. Pills is at 2000 P Street Northwest. You have to send them your address or they're going to have no way to send it to you. Washington, D.C. The zip is 20036. Incidentally, the check can be made out simply to Pills in the amount of $12 to that address. I'll show it to you later again. Mind drugs, do not use Butalan, Butasol. Sorry, we're on 120. I'm getting ahead of my... Do not use Butalan and Butasol, 120. Do not use Nembutal.
It's a barbiturate.
Do not use Elavil or Endef. Why not?
There were the first antidepressants that were on the market, and now there are ones that are just much safer. They don't have anywhere near the amount of side effects of those drugs.
Got a lot of work to do.
Again, for all of those, we say, don't use that, but on the same page it says this is what the safer alternative is.
Equinil Milltown, SK Bamati, Limbritrol, Triavil, Xanax, Tranxene, Librium. Don't use Librium. Don't take Valium. We already told you that. Prozac, Dalmane, Paxapam, Ativan. Because why? Decentrax, Doral, Restoril, Halcyon. Don't take these. Why?
Well, the main reason is they're incredibly addicting, and for older people, the book is really for anyone, any age, except for the one issue of do not use. The do not use drugs, our experts said, if you're 60 or over, you shouldn't use them, but I have to tell you that a lot of them probably shouldn't be used by people under 60 as well. The whole family of tranquilizers and sleeping pills, benzodiazepines, such as the ones you're seeing up there, Halcyon, Valium, Xanax, and so forth, just cause a lot of problems. Memory loss, depression, and there are just too many risks for the minimal benefit that they can bring.
And you do alter alternative remedies.
Right, absolutely.
Are you there, caller? Hi.
Hi, I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was wondering if there are any new findings on the long-term side effects caused by long-term use of the drug Prozac.
Prozac is a drug that wasn't on the market when this book came out 5 years ago, and it's in this book. It's an antidepressant. It's a very good drug. We think that anyone who's taking it, though, should let their doctor know and their friends know that they're taking it, because it looks as though in a tiny number of people, and it's not absolutely clear, that they may have sudden, overpowering, suicidal thoughts. It is a very good drug, though. We do not... the reason that we don't know for sure is that people who are taking these drugs are depressed in the first place, and suicide is a known fact of life with a certain number of people who are depressed. But in terms of long-term side effects, thus far, there isn't any information out there. It's a drug that hasn't been around long enough so we can say people taking it for 10 years have no problem. We don't have people who have been taking it for that long in large enough numbers.
So you, and there were hearings on this, right? Were there not? I mean, this got a lot of publicity.
Right.
And you're quite right. It is in your book, right here. Prozac. So this is a rather impressive endorsement from Sidney Wolfe for Prozac.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are a number of other antidepressants, desipramine and others, which we sort of list and rank in the book. We have a list of all the antidepressants. We tell which ones have more side effects and which ones have fewer side effects. And I think that at the end of the list of ones that have fewer side effects is Prozac. I think it's a good drug.
But you do not discount those very, very passionate people who are out there publicly saying, I took it, and it really altered my consciousness. And I saw things that I didn't, you know, I was imagining, and I had dark thoughts. We've had people on this stage talk about that.
Well, there are reports of things like that, and just right now, it isn't crystal clear that the drug causes that. The things that we talk about in the book where we say, there's no question the drug causes depression and things like that, we're sure of it. With Prozac, it's too new, we don't know yet.
Caller, you there?
Yes, I am. My son is 18 months old, and I'm 3 months pregnant. My doctor has had both of us on all those medications for allergies, and right now I'm on Seldane. And they have my son on it. They've had him on Dimetap, Naldicon, Tessie, Robitussin. What do you do when the doctor you trust prescribed these things, and how do you know what to take?
Well, just a couple of comments. One, the education of American physicians, or physicians in any country for that matter, on drugs is very, very poor. And when you then add what kind of education there's been in terms of taking care of the drug prescription problems of older people, it's even worse. So that a lot of doctors who are prescribing drugs aren't adequately informed. The better ones, and I think most of them fall in that category, will be open to your suggestions. If you go to the doctor, I mean, we've gotten, since the book came out, hundreds of letters from people who say, I took the book, I went to my doctor, and we negotiated a lower dose or switching from a worse pill to a better pill. So I think that doctors, in most cases, not all, are responsive to this kind of thing. And they may not know that the drugs that they're giving don't make any sense at all and are dangerous.
Here's a woman childbearing age. You're 30-something?
I'm 25.
And you're pregnant?
3 months pregnant.
And you're taking what?
Seldane.
How do you feel about
What are you taking Seldane for right now? What kind of allergy do you have?
I mean, I cannot swallow. My ears plug up because my sinuses are so stuffed. And at nighttime, he's told me to take Afrin nasal spray.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like I have no options. I can't breathe. I can't sleep.
Afrin, which is one of the drugs that we say is a better alternative than taking these pills and syrups that have decongestants, is a drug that you really shouldn't take for more than 3 or 4 days at a time. And the question is whether the Afrin alone might not take care of your problem, because Afrin you're spraying in your nose, whereas the Seldane is going all over your body. Wouldn't it be magic if you could take a pill and it only went to that part of your body where it wants to do the good stuff? The problem is that these pills go everywhere. They go into the bloodstream, and they affect not just your nose, but your heart and everything else. So I think it may be worth trying taking just the Afrin or a nose spray alone for a few days instead of the Seldane.
We got to get this audience in. How about the baby and the Dimetap?
Well, I mean, in the first 3 months of pregnancy, when birth
No, her baby. Did you say you're 18 months old?
He's 8. I just gave him some this afternoon, 18 months old, and he had this pouring nose because we live south of Houston. The allergies are terrible down here.
As we said, Dimetap is a combination of an upper, something like amphetamine, and an antihistamine. And this is an allergic thing. It's not a cold. Is that it? Your child does not have a cold, as far as you know?
No.
Just an allergy.
Right.
Okay, well, if it's an allergy, then what you should be using, and we discussed this again in the book, is just an antihistamine instead of taking an antihistamine plus a decongestant. It's a sort of double dose when you only need a single dose.
Okay. What about the Afrin, though? Because he told me I could only take that once a day, no more than 3 days. What do I do for the other 4 days out of the week?
Well, I mean, you ought to see whether or not you break into the cycle enough so you don't need to take it all the time. I think it's worth a try.
Okay, I got to do this real fast. So,
okay.
146, Brian, we'll just sail through this. Drugs that cause Parkinsonism. Haldol, Mellaril, Thorazine, Elavil, Ascendin, Aldamet, Serapes, and Regritin. Drugs that cause falls, hip fractures. Valium, Xanax, Restoril, Luminol, Nembutal, Elavil, Senequan, Haldol, Compazine, Nivane, Isoridil, and Dalmane.
And there are actually 46 total, not just the small list there, but 46 altogether that can cause falls and hip fractures.
Drugs that cause constipation. Dilaudid. Dilaudid?
Dilaudid.
Dilaudid. Talwin.
Narcotic.
Tylenol 3. Tylox. Benadryl. Cogentin. Uricid. Malox. Inderol. And Alagel.
And again, there
and Tums. Hey, Tums, you got something wrong with Tums? Next thing, you're not going to want us to have those.
No. Again, there are 88 drugs total that can cause constipation. Another big category of drugs, in the second chapter of the book, we list drugs that can cause these various things. We also list 119 drugs that can cause sexual dysfunction in men and women in most cases.
And we'll be back. It's about time we got some sex into this show, I'll tell you that, in just a moment.
At the Pond's Institute, the discovery of Nourishing Complex 7, the miracle behind Pond's new Nourishing Moisturizer Lotion, a moisturizer so advanced, it adds more effective moisture than the leading moisturizer. It reduces the appearance of fine lines by 20%, and it is oil-free. Pond's new Nourishing Moisturizer. For more information, call the Institute at 1-800-34-PONDS.
There is no excuse for illiteracy. Learning to read should be simple. Phonics makes reading simple by teaching little sounds and syllables. I learned to read with phonics.
Learn to read with Hooked on Phonics, the musical reading program. Then, read to learn with SRA reading comprehension used by over 60 million people.
Hooked on Phonics works for me.
Call 1-800-ABCDEFG.
Add a piece of chicken, add a piece of fish. As long as you can add a piece to any meal you wish, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that.
Buy any Long John's meal and add a piece. Fish for 75 cents, chicken for 65, or shrimp for 35.
Fish, shrimp, and chicken, crispy and delish. Mix them up and match them, add any piece you wish. Yeah, we can do that. Long John's still go fish.
Go for fish, 3 delicious shrimp plus fries, all just $1.99.
Trying to sell your car usually means waiting hours, days, even months for your phone to ring. It doesn't have to be this way. Bring your car into Hall Motors and get a great price without the wait, or trade it in for a newer model off the lot. And if you're looking to rent, you won't need a major credit card.
Hi, I'm John Hall. Quit watching dust collect on your phone. Come and talk to me at Hall Motors, 1 block south of Adams on 48.
John Hall buys them all, his pleasure's tried and true.
Channelers, crystal balls, witches, seances, mediums attempting to contact the dead for advice and counsel. Is there a real spirit world? And does it have a dark side we need to avoid? Don't miss this week's World Tomorrow program, Evil Spirits.
Watch The World Tomorrow, Sunday at 7:30 a.m.
Now I want to talk about Sarah Pash. Would you kindly stand, please? You have likewise had some problems that shouldn't have happened because of, how do we say this, misprescription?
Interaction between two drugs, but when it happened, no one knew that these two drugs caused a possibly fatal interaction between them. Sarah was the first case of this.
What happened?
Basically, I took the 2 drugs which were prescribed, and I thought I was breathing very fast. It turned out to be my heart, and I passed out and almost died many times.
What were the drugs?
Why don't you tell what the 2 drugs were?
One was Seldane, and the other was Nizoral.
Seldane is an antihistamine she was taking for a sinus condition, and Nizoral is an antibiotic which she was taking for an infection. And at that time, which is 1989, no one knew that those 2 drugs had a very powerful and near-fatal interaction between them. What happens is that the Nizoral, the infection drug, blocks the body's ability to get rid of the Seldane, and it piles up to large amounts. In fact, when Sarah was in the hospital in Bethesda, Maryland, I was one of the consultants on her case, and this led to the publication of the first example of this, and now there's a warning on both these drugs. Don't use these 2 drugs together. And it's just one of a number of examples of combinations of drugs which maybe on their own are okay, but you put them together and you can have a fatality. Unfortunately, someone else wasn't as lucky as Sarah. A year ago, a 29-year-old woman was taking both those drugs, went to the hospital. The doctors didn't know that there was iron formula interaction, and she died 4 days later.
Here are drug interactions potentially harmful, some life-threatening. Show them, Brian. Mevacor and Lopid with Lopid. Seldane with erythromycin. Aldactone with potassium. Prozac with Deseril.
2 antidepressants.
Butazolidine with Oronase. Okay, don't take Tegretol with erythromycin. Tagamet with Dilantin. Nardil with Larodopa. Inderol with Tagamet. More? You got more? Demerol with Nardil. Kellan with Duraquin.
That could cause serious heart arrhythmias, just as occurred with Sarah with her 2 drugs.
And I think that's the end of the list, isn't it? Yeah.
But there are about 800 or 900 more pairs like that in the book.
Thank you. Let me show you the address again. $12 for this book. If you want to write the check, just
also
write
a
it
drug
to...
worksheet that comes with it.
Just write to Pills. Put Pills on the check. 2000 P Street, Northwest Washington, D.C. This is the work, $12. This is, don't forget to give your address so they can't send you the book. This is the Ralph Nader-founded Public Health Research Group, and this caller wanted to say, caller, what?
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Carmen Ireland, and I am taking Celadine and amoxicillin, and I also took that, Ethrocin and Tavist together, and amoxicillin once did cause my heart to flutter. And if you could see my mother's cabinet where I'm looking at it now, baby, she's got it all. She's got estrogen, some Celadine, Delamine, Dorel, Prover.
Do you notice any? Did you say your mother's taking this?
She's been taking drugs for years.
How old is she?
She's 51.
And do you notice any symptoms?
Yes.
What?
Her hips. She's been having problems with her hips. She goes to the doctor to get drugs for her hips. Her tongue is dry all the time. She drinks Coke. She doesn't drink water.
Yeah, I do have to interrupt. I do beg your pardon for that. One thing that you make, the point caller, one point you make is, you know, if you get this thing happening to you, you don't know what ails you because your head is influenced by this.
Her head, believe me, has been influenced.
Well, yes.
One of the things that we have.
I'll give you a chance. We'll be back in just a moment.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night. By the way, you forgot your defrost the chicken.
It happens at the end of each day.
You know that you're driving without cauliflower?
The nightmare of what's for dinner.
You didn't pick up dessert either.
What better time than now to stop and smell the pizza? It's dinner for 4. 2 medium pizzas, a family-sized salad, even cookies, all for $13.99.
Dinner for 4, available only at participating Pizza Hut restaurants.
Who delivers the best value? Chevy. The experts agree. Chevy beats Ford again with the best full-size pickup on the market. Chevys have the best resale value, last the longest, and get better gas mileage that outperforms Ford. Now, your Chevy team has made it even better. Introducing the limited edition full-size Country Classic. Specially equipped, specially priced. A one-time shipment has just hit the showrooms. Get yours before they're all gone, exclusively at your Chevy team dealers now.
Everything you want in a city, without all the worry and rush. Exciting places, smiling faces, come on and join us. Beacon is it, perfect place for your family. Beacon is it, so much to do and so much to see. You want to know the place to be. Beacon is it. Sports and entertainment, shopping and fast food. You're gonna love the feel of Lincoln, all right here for you. Beacon is it, a great place to work or play, for a lifetime of just one day. Beacon is it.
For a transcript of Donahue, send $3 to Journal Graphics, 1535 Grant Street, Denver, Colorado, 80203. Or call 303-831-9000.
To order a video cassette for only $24.95, just call 1-800-FOR-VIDEO.
Yes. Yes, you wanted to say briefly.
Yeah, these, virtually all of the drugs that you've mentioned have been reviewed for possibly years at a time by the Food and Drug Administration. Why aren't they aware of the problems that you've talked about?
One of the problems with the Food and Drug Administration is that it has not paid enough attention to the difference between people who are young taking drugs and older people taking drugs. And a lot of the studies on these drugs didn't include older people at all. Even though an arthritis drug is going to be used largely by older people, they didn't include older people in the study. So there's a lack of information on the part of the FDA. Just in the last year or two, they are now telling companies, if you're going to sell a drug to older people, you ought to test it in older people. So I think that's been a serious problem.
Back here, please, Dr. Wolf.
Doctor, can you not buy your book in a bookstore?
The book is not available in bookstores at all. The only way you can get it is to send in, as Phil said, $12 to 2000 P, Washington 20036.
And the same from Canada, right?
Same from Canada.
Yeah.
My mom has been taking this pill for years and years.
What's the pill?
Actifidin or something for antidepressant and sleeping pill.
Well, it wouldn't be Actifed.
Well, no, not Actifid or Actifid. I can't even.
Is your mother depressed?
Yeah, she's been for years.
Is it Ativan by any chance?
Well, one of the things that we discuss about depression is that, for reasons that we don't understand, after taking an antidepressant drug for a fair amount of time, a number of people who are carefully tried without the drug will do quite well. In other words, depression, even the drug treatment of it, doesn't have to last forever. So it might make sense for your mother to work with her doctor to see if you can lower the dose or maybe even eventually go off the antidepressant, because she may not need it.
And I'm sure this drug, whatever it is in the book. Here are drugs that cause insomnia, you say.
Right.
Sudafed causes insomnia.
Right, it's got an upper in it.
Indurel, Lasix, Mevacor, Habitrol, Theodur, Nicotrol, and Synthroid.
Right.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Introducing a cat box filler that controls odors day and night. New improved Tidy Cat. Its continuous action formula and natural baking soda give you round-the-clock odor protection. Make it Tidy Cat or Tidy Scoop, and make it tidy all the time.
Before the Regina housekeeper, Dirt and I could hide anywhere. It's so powerful. Mom, it's me or the Regina. I guess Mom doesn't like ultimatums.
Regina, powerful enough to clean up after Pigpen.
Silence. It can be beautiful, but when you can't hear the clues,
Mickey gave you something, didn't he?
the warnings,
Mickey's dead. You want to be next?
the danger right behind you, silence can be deadly.
Run! I need help! There's somebody out! This is a recording. All operators are busy.
Hear No Evil, starring Academy Award winner Marlee Matlin and D.B. Sweeney. Rated R. Starts tomorrow at theaters everywhere.
This is your roving reporter here at the City County building in Lincoln, where Weird Wally has just been charged with over 2,000 counts of OPC. If convicted of the charges, Weird Wally could face up to a life sentence. When asked to comment, Wally stated he would plead guilty to the OPC charges. It appears as if, once again, Weird Wally's overpaying for cars could land him in the slammer.
Weird Wally, Lincoln's used car buyer, 2323P.
Recently, 1 million cases of Diet Pepsi were sent free to loyal Diet Coke drinkers.
I wonder if some of them are singing a different tune now. It's got a hold on me, right in the soul of me. I'm a changed man. This is the right one, baby. Uh-huh.
It makes you wonder, what would happen if everyone tried Diet Pepsi?
No comment, baby. No doubt about it. Only one taste is the right one. Makes me feel like singing. You got the right one, baby! Uh-huh.
To be part of the audience, please send a postcard to Donahue Tickets, care of NBC, 30 Rockefeller Plaza, New York, 10112. Remember, postcards only, please.
$12 check made out to Pills. Just write Pills on the check. 2000 P Street, Northwest Washington, D.C. The zip is 20036. $12. You have to have your own address, or they can't send it to you. Yes.
Doctor, I was wondering, now I take Cortison and Vasitec
and I have Maxide, and you said that Maxide was harmful. Should I mix all three of those together? I've been taking them for the last 3 years.
Well,
first of all, you better sit down. Yeah.
You're taking these drugs for high blood pressure, I assume, or for what? What are you taking?
The Cardizin for the heart and Vastatex for my pressure. What's the Maxide?
Your high blood pressure, right.
With the Maxide.
Yeah, I think that it might be worth going to your doctor and seeing whether you can try going from 3 down to 2 drugs. One of the 10 rules for safer drug use that we talk about in the book is...
Let me interrupt you.
Try and reduce the number of drugs you're taking.
Here's the rules with seconds running out. This is important. Have a brown bag session with your doctor. What Dr. Wolf means is throw all the pills that somebody you love...
Prescription and over-the-counter, both.
Just bring them all in, and let's take a look at these. Go over them.
And
find out
whether you need to keep using them all.
Find out if you're having any adverse drug reactions. Assume that any new symptom you developed after starting a new drug may be caused by the drug. If you have a new symptom, report it to your doctor. Make sure drug therapy is really needed for your condition. Ask your doctor to explain all alternatives. If drug therapy is indicated, in most cases, it's safer to start with a dose which is lower than a usual adult dose. When adding a new drug, see if it's possible to discontinue the drug you are taking. The fewer medications you take, the better. Stopping a drug is as important as starting it. Do not take a drug any longer than necessary. Before leaving your doctor's office or pharmacy, make sure the instructions for taking your medication are clear to you and a family member or friend. Discard all old drugs carefully. Avoid the possibility that they might be taken inadvertently. Ask your primary care doctor to coordinate your care and drug use.
You need a quarterback.
What?
You know, you may be doing more harm by telling people to buy the generic than the right kind.
Why?
Because my son is on Prolixin for 20 years, and Dr. Alan Cott told me never get in the generic. And I did about 3 years ago, and he went back to the hospital very, very,
The same thing could happen if he had been taking generic and was switched to the brand name. The same thing might have been happening. We actually list those drugs in the book that you have to watch what the dosage is. And we say, if you're taking the generic, keep taking it. If you're taking the brand name, keep taking it. There's some that you shouldn't be switching on, but you shouldn't be switching either way, branded generic or generic to brand.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Who delivers the best value? Chevy. The experts agree. Chevy beats Ford again with the best full-size pickup on the market. Chevys have the best resale value, last the longest, and get better gas mileage that outperforms Ford. Now, your Chevy team has made it even better. Introducing the limited edition full-size Country Classic. Specially equipped, specially priced. A one-time shipment has just hit the showrooms. Get yours before they're all gone, exclusively at your Chevy team dealers now.